At least, the Americans' freedoms are
See,
about to get worse.
every every event is picked up by some element of the government, usually the Justice Department, as an excuse to remove one more freedom
Yeah,
from us,
yeah,
and then one more, and then one more. We've all of our financial freedoms have been removed. Almost everybody is in debt. We are dependent on the fiat dollar, which is controlled by the Fed, a fucking private organization. I mean, if you look at it objectively, it's absurd on the surface
yeah,
and in depth as well.
yeah, yeah. And it's and it's Trump is. I keep flip flopping back and forth over whether he's genuine or not, but it just seems like now after all these things, he's just going to be clamping down on freedom as well. More censorship on the internet. Like he can't really do much about Google because he needs the big tech, in his position. I mean, he shouldn't, but he does.
He does, yes, and he needs it big time. Plus, the election is coming up, and so it's politics as usual, pandering to um, the greatest common denominator of the people.
Well, I think.
Are we up and are we recording it, or
Yep.
are we still?
No, we're working.
We are?
Everything seems to be working. We'll cross our fingers that the deep state won't shut us off here, and hopefully we can keep plugging along. Like we are working towards in Grimerica. We figure we need 8 months of being able to still operate on some of these platforms we're utilizing, but we're working in the direction of hopefully just being able to do our own thing and not need any of these guys' infrastructure in the future, because it seems like they're just willing to shut people off on a whim. And I think,
Yes.
Trump's comments this morning were kind of spooky. I mean, I haven't seen the video myself, but from the sounds of it, it was something about shining a light on the dark corners of the internet.
Yes, and see, this is all instigated by the Justice Department. Why? Because the Justice Department has supreme power. If you think about it. They are the ones that can level charges. They're the ones that can gather the most evidence and hide the evidence that does not suit them.
Right,
They're
exactly.
the ones that that they can intimidate. They can say, "Listen, sign this saying you're guilty. We'll give you 18 months, or we'll fight you and you'll do 30 years." Intimidation, fear. No, it's not the Justice Department. It's become the Injustice Department, but it's hugely powerful. And so the FBI has recently been looking at the internet, things like 8chan. Now, I'm not agreeing with the things that happen on 8chan, but this is still America. And we do have freedom of speech and freedom not to listen, right? We don't have to go on 8chan. But it's becoming like the Minority Report. It's like, oh, this may happen, therefore we will classify you as terrorists and clamp down on you. It's really getting frightening.
Well, and it opens it up to trolling. I mean, I've already heard people talking about the manifesto and this being a reason to take 8chan down and to shine the light in the dark corners. I mean, who decides
Curry
on what's
read
dark
the
or not,
manifesto. Did you hear the part he read? He's like, Buddy says in his manifesto, it's not about Trump. And like right away, it's like, boom, Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So to me, this situation, 50 years ago, keep in mind I'm 74. 50 years ago, no one in America could possibly have conceived that things like this would happen. It was a system, in the 1950s where the government still mostly served the public rather than the public serving the government. And the government was pretty much open and visible, and people had privacy. Now the government insists, or the Justice Department insists, that you open the kimono and show everything. Meanwhile, we're going to show you nothing whatsoever. So we now work for and are controlled by the government that should be working for and be controlled by us. This is how it started out, and it's completely reversed.
Yeah.
That's the problem with, that's kind of the scary thing about, when we talk to Matheson about, the kind of walk back and forth between certain things that should be socialized and certain things that should be more libertarian bend to them. And he's like, the problem is that it was never supposed to be that you couldn't trust the government at all. And he's like, we've kind of got to that point where you can't really trust the government. And there are things that should be owned by the people, but the people have no representation anymore.
Well, I'm a hard and true libertarian, and the libertarian precept is that it's if it happens in your neighborhood, and if you're human beings with a heart and any sympathy and regard for humankind, people take care of each other.
Yeah.
Social programs that are national, statewide, or that extend beyond your own sphere of knowledge and purview are an entirely different thing. And on that scale, there is so much opportunity for fraud and theft, and by government officials.
Well, worse than that. Worse than that. I mean, that could be what's happening with this whole, pedogate stuff. I mean, these big corporations and these big nonprofits and NGOs, I mean, they seem to be co-opted for really nefarious purposes. I mean, not just corruption, but, funneling human trafficking and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the real problem. The problem is that corporations and government have become almost one thing now. All of politics is about the corporate world. I mean, the shit that's happening in the Middle East, and seriously, does it touch the average American? Does it change your life? Does it affect you in any way other than an emotional outpouring for the suffering that's taking place? I mean, other than that, it touches the lives only of the great corporations, oil companies that do business in these areas. It's all about business and all about money. Whereas the government started out all about people, all about people's needs and their hearts and their hopes, their dreams. That's disappeared. The corporations are, in fact, half of the government.
Is that a global epidemic?
Pardon?
Is that a global problem?
Sorry?
Is that a global problem?
It's hard to speak globally, being an American and being English speaking and being clued in mostly to American issues and American politics. But yes, I think so. I'm not a Marxist or anything, but that maybe this is some indication of the global capitalism collapse. I have no clue. But in America, which is what we're talking about, it is a problem, and it's so visible everywhere. I mean, you see Facebook and Google and Twitter kowtowing again to the Justice Department. We need to know what's happening in social media. We need to get into people's lives. We need to have a backdoor into WhatsApp so that the privacy that the Americans have a right to can only be violated by us. I mean, this is total nonsense. It's a runaway Justice Department and a runaway corporate/government marriage that needs to be dissolved.
Yeah. So do you, I mean, since we last talked, there's a lot has happened. I mean, big tech has clamped down. Like Epstein's been arrested. I mean, do you think that, is this all just a farce that, that Trump and the Anons are taking down the global pedophile network? I mean, is that just distraction for everybody so that now they can, like Darren's got a theory about them, basically censoring. It's a deeper distraction, and they're basically, what's happening is more censorship and more of our freedoms being taken away. Would you agree then?
See, I wish it were possible for anyone to answer that question that is not in some high level of government. Because do you know anything about the truth?
No, that's
anything. Let's start with Epstein and his guilt. I mean, he pled guilty, but who does not plead guilty when you're sitting in front of a bunch of federal prosecutors saying we want to give you life, or you can take a couple of years. And all the information that we have comes from the media, filtered through the media with its own biases and with its own self-interest, from a government that is informed by the CIA and 14 other covert agencies, and God knows what their interests are. So really, the American people are blind and deaf. We cannot hear and see because we are given nothing but propaganda. Yeah. So I wish I had an answer for you. I mean, it certainly seems likely that this is all smoke and mirrors, and that something far deeper is happening, and the deeper may be just what is we all know, which is the corporate government structure is stealing from us, and we've turned us into slaves. And so maybe this is all to prevent us from seeing the reality of our own existences. I don't have a clue. Neither do you. Neither does anybody. We first have to solve the problem of government transparency. We can have a secret government and a populace with open kimonos, where everything is known of the populace and nothing is known of the government. It's got to reverse. I'm sorry. The government is intended to work for us. We elected those fucks, all right? We asked them to represent who? Us, for fuck's sake. Not the corporations, the people, for fuck's sake. It's the people who vote. Corporations don't have a vote. So this is the issue. You know, we have to address this before we can address anything.
Yeah.
You asked me about immigration. I don't have a fucking clue what the reality is. The Middle East, good God, I speak neither Farsi nor Saudi nor Arabic. I know very little about the religion, nothing about the political alliances, the culture, the history. Good God, don't ask anybody in America what we should do there, because nobody knows.
Well, we can't even have a conversation about it. That's the problem too. I mean, you can,
no, I think that's by design. You know, I think that's kind of like, I think that's my thing on the whole Trump thing, is I think that whole thing was to kick up enough dust to get us all fighting about right and left and all this bullshit again. Because when we're doing that, you know, it's almost like at the tail end of Obama, you know, we have YouTube, all these YouTube channels and podcasts and websites that are questioning the truth and pushing the empire. And, you know, and it's becoming a problem. And all of a sudden Trump comes in, and no one, even all the alternative shows, you know, 90% of them ended up spinning Trump or anti-Trump, or, you know what, the whole thing just turned into a giant political arena again. And, you know, worse than it's ever been in my entire lifetime. And when people are too busy fighting amongst each other over what fucking bathroom they should use or whatever else is going on, then the government gets away with fucking murder.
Well, you need to understand something, that much of the problem within the government, including things like the secrecy and the corruption, is caused by the two-party system. And the two-party system creates one certainty: war between the two parties. So we are a country at war with ourselves. I mean, we're not out in the streets shooting each other with guns as parties. Well, maybe it'll come to that. But we are certainly at war with ourselves. You know, the left is becoming more extreme. The right is becoming more extreme. We are dividing this country down the middle. And that division is the cause of hatred. If you're on, and what does that even mean to be on one side or the other side? My God, none of us are purely one thing or the other. If we're honest with ourselves, what happens is each party promotes propaganda that's magnified by the media on their side to make us think that, oh my God, this is a very critical issue. The Middle East is critical. Well, fuck me, it doesn't touch anybody. No, it's not critical. But we believe it is, and so we're on one side or the other there. So all of this is in the mind division created by the two parties, each seeking ultimate power. This has got to fucking stop.
What are your thoughts on how cryptocurrency will play a role in the upcoming global recession, and more specifically XRP being used as a global bridge asset?
Why XRP? I'm just curious.
It's from a question from the chats, so I'm assuming that they are tied to XRP somehow. I'm more interested. Right, well, I mean, my thoughts on cryptocurrency are more on how blockchain can be used with information.
Well, let's talk about something a little more fundamental, and that is, how can cryptocurrency be used to change the landscape that I have just described? This nightmare of division and hostility, this landscape of slavery to the state, to the corporation, to the system. Everything in life is based on currency. You need to understand this. Everything. Your children's schooling requires currency. payment for your house, your car, your food, your clothes, the wooing of your spouse, perhaps. Everything in life is based on currency. We need and demand it for our very existence. Someone who controls that currency controls your life. See this, controls where it's being spent, what it can be spent on, where it can go, where it can't. You can't send money to Iran. You can send money to England. The inflation and deflation. Let's print some more money and it will devalue the dollar and it will benefit XYZ. Well, it's not benefiting the people. So currency is the key to all freedom, if you think about it. And whoever controls currency controls your freedom. What is the unique thing about cryptocurrency? Most of them.
Decentralized, right?
It's decentralized and there is no control. It is a decentralized, trustless system. You don't have to trust the Fed to bolster the dollar. You don't have to trust anybody. It is distributed with no one in control. Do you understand? The concept itself is mind-blowing if you think about the implications.
Yeah.
But it's not just a concept. We actually have currencies here. If you add to that privacy and anonymity, which many privacy coins have, you now have absolute financial freedom of the individual. And from that financial freedom flow all other freedoms. This is why governments are so desperate to stop it, restrain it, control it, regulate it. But even these attempts cannot possibly succeed. Anything that a person does, chooses to do, that can be done privately in your own home, like smoke weed, drink, do what you want, have strange sex, who cares, is impossible to regulate. Time and time again, every attempt by every government over the course of human history has found the same problem. You can't regulate it. Look at America, all of the states that have stringent and federal rules against weed. I know people who smoke weed. Almost everybody smokes weed in spite of jail terms that they could possibly face. You can't regulate what a person does with their own body and mind in the privacy of their own dwelling. This can't be done. So what is crypto? Do you have to go to a public place to do it? You know, a football field being watched by 100 people? Fuck no. You can do it in your bedroom, in your car, in the bathroom. Like you have your smartphone with you and your wallet. So this is a system that can't be stopped. And I'm not talking about any specific coin like Bitcoin or Monero or XRP. I'm talking about the cryptocurrency universe. And the blockchain concept which powers it is something that can't be stopped. So smart governments had better, strap on the bulletproof vest and go, okay, I'm with you guys against the rest of the world. Because any government's attempt to create their own crypto is going to fail, because that crypto is going to be controlled by the government, monitored by it, watched closely, will have no privacy or anonymity, and we simply just won't use it. Our government says, don't smoke weed, you've got alcohol. Well, if you choose not to drink alcohol, that's your choice. When I say drink alcohol, alcohol is legal in America, weed mostly is not. So do you understand? No matter what they do, well, we're going to create our own and make that work. Fuck no, we're not going to use it.
Yeah, but they can go through. They can go through corporations like Facebook and Libra, which is the opposite of the decentralized blockchain, right? So what
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So go ahead and do it. What are you going to do? Make us use it? How do you do that? You would have to have a policeman in every home in America to prevent us from choosing something else like Monero, which gives me ultimate privacy, anonymity. Jesus, do you understand that it's insane what governments are doing? Let's regulate, stop. Let's like in India, let's make it fucking illegal and imprison you. It's not going to work. Not going to help.
What's
Listen,
illegal in India?
Pardon?
What's illegal in India?
Well, in India, they are considering legislation to make all cryptocurrency use illegal.
Wow.
With prison terms. It's not going to help. The prison terms for marijuana don't prevent you, or maybe you don't smoke weed, but somebody does that you know. Does it prevent them? Fuck no. Please God. It's a hopeless battle that governments are fighting. And please do not think that, oh my God, Facebook's got, Libra, and now the world has come to an end. Fuck no, no one's going to use it that has a brain.
Do you think so? That's interesting. I guess, I don't really understand enough of the fundamentals of how blockchain is protected from prying eyes of the government or anything else. But so, I mean, I guess my concern is that most of the smartphones are probably infected in the factory, if any of Vault 7 is true. And I just wonder if like attack on that banking system would be enough for them to just shut off the internet. It's like control, it's like the two levels of control. Is the new level of internet control worth giving up your financial control you've had for a couple thousand years?
Well, listen, it's not a matter of the internet. I mean, you can't shut the internet down without shutting down everything. Food processing, every government, of course, that wouldn't be bad, would it? Every government,
yeah.
But you can't shut the internet down. And any attempt to control it can't possibly touch privacy blockchains. Now, not all blockchains are private. You need to understand something with things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and similar. Any asshole can use an Etherscan and go into your wallet once he's sent you something, or you've sent them something, and see how much you have in it, what comes in, what goes out, when, what your balance is. If your bank did that, if you wrote a check to your plumber and he went to the bank, cashed it, and said, oh, by the way, I'd like to see from now on every transaction in this account, please, all the money that comes in and goes out. And the bank says, oh, okay, sure. I want to see the balance and so on. You wouldn't be a happy camper, would you?
No.
Or would you? No. Okay, but that's what Bitcoin is, and that's what Ethereum is. That's what every ERC20 coin is. But if you get into the realm of privacy coins, it does not fucking matter. You're not going to be able to isolate a Monero transaction on the internet among the other flow of traffic. It is morphing constantly and can't be seen. So again, there's nothing you can do. And again, it's not the power of the blockchain, but it's how the blockchain is implemented and used by the specific crypto.
What about so could that be translated into, like if we see the continued clampdown on, say, sharing video or audio, is that kind of stuff? Is that sort of information or media, can that be used in the same system theoretically? No,
absolutely. The clampdown on video and audio, first of all, it has many different parameters. The companies that produce these things, like movie companies, Sony and MGM and so on, are putting sophisticated technology such that much of this can't even be played if it's bootlegged. Also, the bootleg comes from specific sites that can be found, shut down, or monitored. It's not the same thing with a distributed privacy coin where every person is a node on a network. Every part, you power up your phone, suddenly you become part of the distributed network, the distributed exchange. Everything is distributed. So you shut down 10 people or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000, it does not affect anything. So no, you can't. See, this is what governments are thinking of. We were successful with video and intellectual property. Well, this is not intellectual property. This is an entirely different monster. It is something that has come out of the box. It is Pandora's box, which has opened. The currency is out, and it will not go back in, and it will not be controlled.
Could I theoretically share the podcast through blockchain in the future? If, say, like
Well,
iTunes and everything shut down?
You can theoretically do anything with the blockchain. The main purpose of the blockchain is to provide a degree of certainty that transactions can never be changed. That's very important. With every other system, you can't. A smart hacker can go in, or the owner of the data can go in and change it. People can go and get ledger books and erase them and forge new entries. You can't do that with the blockchain. It is an immutable entry, which will be there for all to view. Now, with privacy coins, what you're viewing, you have no clue what it is. Who is the originator? Who was the receiver? What was the amount? Where and when? All that is completely masked, but the transaction's still there. So, it's a unique animal, difficult to explain. It's a mathematical system of perfection, beyond the control of mere physics and governmental wishes.
Well, can you give people advice on how we should be using this platform and not just hoarding it to sell out type thing? I mean, we all, if we want this to be something that has a real effect on
and sustainable, yeah.
Okay, now you need to understand there are thousands of purposes for cryptocurrency. For example, the ease of use, where I can get up in the morning and send $100 to a friend in England without getting out of bed, instead of getting out of bed, getting dressed, driving to the bank, filling out forms, and a friend getting it the following day. So for simple transactions like that, and transactions in a system that you don't want to risk volatility, you could use a stable coin, something like DAI, a very sophisticated coin. I use it frequently. It is pegged to the US dollar. And no matter what happens, no matter what the volume, no matter what the buy or the sell balance is, it's never more than 1% from the dollar. It manages this using very sophisticated smart contracts on the Ethernet chain. That's great. That's not a privacy coin, but if you want to just, I want to travel to Europe and I don't want to put $10,000 in my pocket or whatever you want to spend while you're there, DAI. That's the coin you would want, because it's not going to lose or gain anything against the dollar, because you'd be using dollars anyway. So that's one thing. Stable coins, privacy coins, like Apollo, Monero, Zcash. Those are for people who just don't want other people knowing what they're doing with their fucking money. So that's fine for them. Other coins, like medical coins, like Docademic or Doc.com, MTC, for people maybe with health problems, or the greatest thing about, I think, Docademic is their psychological button. Their app has two buttons, a red one and a blue one. Red, I just cut myself, I think I'm bleeding to death. You push the button, the doctor comes on. Blue, my spouse just left me, took the dog to the car, ran off with the neighbor, and emptied my bank account. I'm going to jump off the San Francisco Bridge. You're on the bridge and you think, oh, yeah, I never did try this blue button. Let me see. You push it. A psychologist comes on, instantly goes, what's your problem, son? My wife left me to that. I said, well, why don't you step off the bridge and let's talk about it? I mean, that is a fucking function for cryptocurrency. Then there are things that you might want to just hold for investment. People buy Bitcoin because it might be a store of value and raise itself in value. There are thousands of different uses. That's why there are thousands of different coins. So it depends. What do you want to use it for? Store of value? Well, there's a whole bunch you could possibly buy. A big investment. There's a bunch of those. XTZ, as an example. Medical, privacy, you name it. Smart contracts can do anything.
But I think your point is use it, right? Instead of just hoarding it. I mean,
well, not just investment. If you are just into investing, then hold it. But if everybody does that, then nothing will happen. Yeah, nothing will ever increase in value. So yes, use it. Absolutely Absolutely. That's the whole fucking point. I mean, Monero, you want privacy, you want security, you can use your credit card or you can use Monero. Well, goddamn it, I'll take Monero, please. Or the same thing with Apollo. You want your credit card or check, or you can use Apollo, where nobody knows anything about you, where you are, what your name is, the name or the location of the person you're transacting business with, end of story. If that's what you want, use that. Privacy coins are going to have great use because I truly believe that most people want some degree of privacy in their financial dealings.
Yeah.
And most people would like complete privacy. This also scares governments, terrifies them. Oh my God, what if we can't dig into all of these transactions? How do we collect income taxes? Well, find a fucking way. We were doing great before 1913. We had none.
Yeah. Exactly.
Scrap the income tax. Yeah, exactly. What that's going to shut down the breakaway civilizations and the military-industrial complexes and all those sort of secret programs. Oh, I mean, that's where they're going to get upset. What's your take on? Do you give any credence to a breakaway civilization type thing of tech elites or anything like that?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Just simplify it for me. I'm an old man.
It's the take that ever since like the 50s, the certain sector of the military or the private sector, maybe it was given to the private sector to stay away from governmental oversight, and they're sort of 100 years ahead of the rest of us in tech and weaponry and space travel and energy and everything else.
Well, yeah, I worked for Lockheed for a number of years, and I worked on black programs. These are programs where we contract with the government, but they don't really exist. They're called black because they just don't exist. So, well, absolutely. I mean, at the time, I was working on things which didn't come out until 25 years later. Yes, but that's not the issue. All of the technology that's there that we are not aware of. Well, that's fascinating, of course. The issue is that in the process of building these things, a relationship, a sort of a symbiotic, parasitic relationship develops between the suppliers and the government. Companies like Lockheed Martin, and high-tech developers for secret Pentagon projects. Good gods, because it is secret, because there is no oversight. Can you imagine the graft and pocketing of money and the charging of, there was, I think, one a $5,000 toilet seat for one of the Apollo missions, things of this nature. Jesus Christ. This is the problem. That complex, which is really morphed into the information government complex, not just the military, the entire U.S. government, mostly the Justice Department, where, okay, Google, we want to know this. Google is now, I don't know if this little tidbit seemed to pass to everybody a month and a half ago, where Google announced that it will cooperate with local law enforcement agencies to the point that if there is a crime, Google will provide the exact location of every telephone that was in the vicinity of that crime when it happened.
Wow.
Now, think about it. Yes, look it up. I'm not making this shit up. It's too weird for me to make up. So yeah, I mean, so we have things like this happening. Where what's the difference now between Google and the Justice Department, where Google is actively spying on people in effect? And well, see, we know these phones, and these phones, and if you want to know the numbers and the names, we can be happy to give them to you.
Well, it would have to be a pretty big crime because they don't really give a shit about the small crimes anymore. I mean, anything under $1,500, you can steal your bike, steal your car, break into your place. Doesn't even matter. They don't even do anything about it. So that's,
Well, it depends. It depends on who you are and how badly the Justice Department wants you. I promise you.
Yeah, exactly.
If I steal a fountain pen, I'm going to get a federal charge out of it.
And they'll see everybody that was in the vicinity of you.
And right, that's the other problem. Yeah. And you realize every time I come on any podcast, you're going to be watched probably for the next 4 or 5 weeks just to make sure that you're not sort of in cahoots with me on something.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering about that today. What are we getting ourselves into? So how does that work with McAfee 2020 and you're way over there in Eastern Europe in a Faraday cage, or we saw a video of you the other day in one. And then with this whole political
James
thing
Bond.
going on, can you do this? Can you do your whole thing from Zoom or?
Well, yeah, from any number of different programs. Keep in mind, we are in the internet age, and I am talking to you from somewhere in Eastern Europe, and you're somewhere in America, and we're communicating just fine. You may notice that I have not stopped putting out videos, and neither have my followers stopped growing. I've got 40,000 new followers in the past week and a half. So I don't need to be on a stage with someone.
Okay.
In fact, I think that's a huge benefit. I'd rather have a screen somewhere behind a podium where I can sleep through everybody else's comments and then say what I need to say. But no, first of all, there's no rule saying you cannot campaign for president from a foreign country. There is no technological or physical limitation to campaigning. Social media is the campaign. How does Donald Trump talk to people, for fuck's sake? Through Twitter. Too much, actually. But does he need a press corps? Does he need the New York Times? Fuck no. That's why he's using Twitter. He gets to say what he wants in his own fucking words.
Yeah.
And everything else is just sort of protocol and formality. Press conferences, a mere formality, but it doesn't give a shit about them. So no, it's not affecting in any way my ability to campaign. I think it's actually helping. I get a little more press by doing the weird shit that I do.
Yeah, it's definitely treading new waters. Trump sort of opened up that gate to, not going through the media. So, but you still have to be, somebody's still got to cover you and what you say in some sort of mainstream form, I guess. The independent people that are running, I don't know who you're going to be, running against, or, if it's going to be like the Gary, what's his name?
Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson thing.
Yeah, but here's the problem, or not the problem, but the issue. First of all, and the magic word you said was, I guess. Well, see, that is a big guess. Do I really need the mainstream media?
Yeah.
If I have any following in social media. But here's the fucking issue. I'm not running against anybody. I'm not running against Trump, whoever the Democratic nominee is, or anybody. I'm just fucking running. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I have a totally different agenda. I'm not going to talk about issues like immigration in the Middle East and our trade problems with China, because what the fuck does that actually mean? Trade with China? It means that you will have to pay a couple of dollars more or less for a fucking Chinese toaster based upon these massive negotiations. Why are they doing it? For the fucking corporations again. So I'm not going to be talking about any of this shit. I'm going to be talking about the fundamental problem of why are you people even up here talking when nobody knows jack shit about what's really happening? That our government is shrouded in a cloak of dark, mysterious secrecy, whereas we have open lives and we're supposed to say what we're supposed to do in the Middle East or anywhere else, because that information came through 14 different covert agencies, including the CIA and the NSA and all of the covert military organizations with their own agendas and purposes through the channels up to the bureaucracy where it's edited and massaged, and then to the press where God knows what they're going to do with it, and then to us. And you expect me to tell you what I'm going to do? I don't have a fucking clue. I don't know. Neither do you. Neither does anyone.
No, but the people that are following you don't need to hear that message. It's the people that, that aren't following you that need to hear the message. I guess that's the thing.
Agree.
It's like, we're in different universes here, and all the people that are following you in one universe, and there's a bunch of people on a completely other side.
I'm not dissing you at all, and I don't consider you mainstream media. I'm just saying that the interesting phenomenon about waking up a society is you don't have to wake up everybody yourself.
Yeah.
Let's imagine we're in a movie theater, and people say, well, "What's your plan?" here's the analogy. You're in a movie theater and it's an enthralling goddamn movie. Everybody's glued. Their eyes are glued to the screen, and a fire breaks out in the back. You notice it, but nobody else does. You shake the guy next to you. Look at the fire. He's awoke, man. He's going to shake people. I'm going to shake another person. What's the plan? We don't need a fucking plan. We just need everybody to wake up and see, oh my God, a fire. There are exits. We exit. See, here's the issue. No goddamn plan is needed once you see the truth of your life and the situations that you are in. I mean, if you come home and you find your wife in bed with your neighbor and the neighbor's dog and his wife, and you go, God, I had no fucking clue, you're suddenly woke. Do you need a plan? No. Pack your fucking bags and leave. Or stay and join the party. I don't know. But there's no plan needed, dude.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I mean, you only need to reach. You
only
only need to
unplug
reach,
from the matrix.
You only need to reach a certain amount of people, but
Janice is sitting here just laughing her ass off.
I think it's
I'm sorry.
3%. Right? I've heard that number a couple times. If you can get 3% of the population to wake the fuck up, then it starts like the tumble down.
It'll snowball. I'm sorry. So I'm not concerned. You know, if I have 10 followers, I'll talk to those 10. However, I do have the right, and I think the Libertarian Party is going to approve that I can campaign and debate remotely.
There you go.
And have a screen.
Perfect.
And now after that, I have no clue.
Well, make a hologram.
I know it sounds unlikely, but I have no contenders in the Libertarian Party. Really none. I mean, Gary Johnson has left. Bill Weld has left. Austin Peterson, for fuck's sake, left. That broke my heart. I like young Austin. So I'm left with the people like Berman Supreme, who wears a boot on his head. And by the way, I'd be more than happy to run with him as vice president. I like Berman. You know, he is a performer. His life is performance art. So I know that many in the Libertarian Party are loath to accept this. A few are starting to. That they're going to have to accept me as the nominee, because there's nobody else unless they kidnap somebody. Like, who knows?
I've got a good vice president for you. If I can nominate someone to be your running mate, I would go with Thaddeus Russell. He's a brilliant young man.
Who is it?
And, Thaddeus Russell. He's on Twitter. We had him on the show, and he blew my mind. I think you guys could change the world. I really do.
Well, fuck me. Send me his Twitter handle, and I'll get in touch with him.
I will after this. As soon as we're off the air, I will. I'll tweet you both.
I say you get a 3D hologram of yourself up on stage, and then it'll really.
Well, didn't you see he's doing the faces? So we can print out a face and we can do McAfee's. We should get a mask actually for the studio.
The clone.
Oh, you
should.
Yes.
The army of clones.
Yeah.
We have two. We have two versions of it. One is a nylon thing which pulls over your head, which is extremely creepy.
That's
I'd like to wear it myself just on doing podcasts, but and then the other one is just a cardboard mask that looks just like me. But I like the creepy nylon thing. It looks different on different people, but it's still clearly me, like me from a horror movie where I just came back from the grave after being melted somehow. So
the zombie version of McAfee, perfect.
Oh yeah, we gotta get a mask for the studio. I'll just drive around in my truck looking like McAfee. Perfect.
Well, listen, you can get one from at Logia on Fire, my campaign manager. I don't know if you ever met him. He's someone you should have on. He's one of the most brilliant men in the world. He looks exactly like Rasputin. You know, when his hair is down and these long, I swear to God, exactly like Rasputin. Wears an eye patch sometimes.
Oh yeah, he's on your website there.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Now, the eye patch is an affectation, and so we did. I can't remember what podcast we were on. Oh, the Larry and Joe show, I think, where Rob was on and I was on. Now Rob always wears that eye patch on his right eye, so he showed up with it on his left eye, and nobody noticed. I was falling on I couldn't continue. I was literally gasping for air from laughter. So was Janice and everybody else watching. Anyway, he is a serious character. I swear to God, he will blow your mind. You should have him on.
Yeah, it sounds good.
We will reach out to him and have
And
him on the show.
I'm not saying that to promote my campaign at all, because I don't need much promotion. I'm saying that because seriously, it would be a kick in the ass.
So before we wrap up, I gotta ask. I mean, we were all watching your Twitter feed.
Wrap up. What's this wrap up shit? You said I could go as long as I want.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
perfect.
sure,
yeah, no, we'll keep going. Absolutely. I gotta ask.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Ask your question.
We were all watching your Twitter feed on pins and needles there for a couple of weeks there when you were leaving Cuba, and we had some pictures of you guys on the boats being pursued, and then you guys ended up incarcerated, I think 2 times over the span of a week. I was wondering if you could just give us a sort of rundown of what sort of happened there, and I mean, I honestly, it seems like it's like you're the Sean Connery, James Bond, just all grown up and on the run from MI6 now.
Right. Okay, so let me tell you the whole fucking story. All right, so we're in Cuba. And, you know, I always have my ear to the ground, and I have friends in high places, even in the CIA. Keep in mind, they were one of my biggest customers when I first started McAfee Antivirus and McAfee Security. So in any case, I pretty much hear before things happen that they're about to happen. And I did hear from a couple of sources. One, believe it or not, the cab driver that was our full-time driver while we were in Cuba. Now, as everybody knows, all cab drivers in Cuba are agents of the government, but he was a really nice agent, and I liked him very much. And he did clue me in 4 days before we left that he had heard the U.S. government had approached Cuba with a demand to return me. Now, Cuba's not going to extradite me. First of all, that would take 30 years, and Cuba was not in the mood to do such. But the entire time I had been in Cuba, Janice and I and my entire team had been really praising Cuba. It is a great fucking country with happy fucking people. Anyway, the day after my driver and I also heard something from a friend within the CIA saying, you know, you need to watch yourself. Something's coming down. That following day at 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 police officers come by with a slip of paper saying, "Be here." At what time, Janice? Did it say? At what time? It said, "Be here at 3 o'clock," and there was an address, and that was it. So my driver knew the place. We drove there. A really ramshackle building on the edge of nowhere. We went in. We sat in easy chairs. Everyone was extremely polite. They separated Janice and I, but not forcibly. They just said, "Please, Miss McAfee, Mrs. McAfee, if you need anything, please let us know." Went into an even nicer room. A fucking general walks in, and with his interpreter, he speaks no English, but his interpreter was great. And through it, he said, "You know, Miss McAfee, we know that you are a friend of Cuba, and we appreciate that, and we know that you love the Cuban people." Says, "But you must leave this country within 72 hours. Now, I took that, since I knew what had transpired, as a sign of friendship. Like, if you're still here, we're going to have a hard time explaining to the U.S. why we're not giving you up. If you're not here, then what can we say? The son of a bitch left. Not our problem." So we left within 72 hours, headed for the Dominican Republic. But keep in mind, the U.S. government has satellites. They have agents everywhere. The CIA operates, I think, on the dark side of the moon, for all I know. And so they knew where we were going. When we came into the Dominican Republic, now, yes, we did have guns on board. We've had guns on board forever. I've been yachting my whole life. Every fucking yacht has guns on board. Why? There are still pirates in the Caribbean. You may think that's a joke. It's not. I'm sorry. You know, people with speedboats coming in, and if you're unarmed, you're fucked. So everybody has guns on boats. Every country deals with them differently. In the Bahamas, you declare them. They let you keep them on the boat. In Cuba, you declare them. They took them off the boat and politely gave them back to us when we left. This is what happens. In the Dominican Republic, it's the same. We pulled into the dock, man. We were surrounded by fucking armed soldiers with machine guns. Boarded the boat before customs or immigration could even fucking talk to us, and said, weapons on the boat. You can't have weapons in the Dominican Republic. And I said, and I had them laying out on the fucking table, unchambered, unlocked, so that you could see that there's nothing in the muzzle or in the chamber. And it was like surreal, from a fucking dream world. So what had happened here, okay, clearly, is because extradition is a long, involved legal process, which can take years, whereas having someone deported back to America is pretty damn easy. So we were charged with having illegal weapons. My whole team, Janice, me, we were held for 3 days, released, and then incarcerated again for another day, I think, just for good measure, because the second place is pretty abominable. Like, fuck, I'll go anywhere rather than spend another night in this hellhole. In fact, Janice said, I'm not going back in there no matter what.
Wow.
I go, don't worry. So in any case, so finally we get to the immigration's office. Now it's high class again. Nice office, stainless steel, people who speak English, very polite, giving us coffee and so on. And they bring me in. They say, Miss McAfee, you have to go back to America. I go, well, I didn't come from America. I came from Cuba. Doesn't matter. You have to go back to America. So I pulled a British passport out of my pocket, because I happen to have dual citizenship, and I keep that fucker on my body at all times, just in case. Even with the passport, they said, no, sir, you have to go back to America. However, I'd retained an attorney the second day we were incarcerated, 2 attorneys actually, who were with me the second time I met with this gentleman after I showed him my passport. And he said, no, Miss McAfee has to go back to America. My lawyer said, why? He said, it's muy complicado. I mean, it's very, very, very complicated, but you got to go. So I whispered to my lawyers. I said, file a brief, okay, preventing me from being deported to America. And they said, okay. I said, but that's going to take a couple hours. So basically I said, I got this, don't worry. We left the office. The lawyers ran off to file a brief. They were just about to put us on the plane when I collapsed on the floor in convulsions. When I finally came to, I pretended I didn't know anybody, not my security people who were there, not the people I'd been working with, nobody. They took me to the hospital. I kept a watch on time, almost to the hour. When did the lawyers come back to the office? Almost to the dot, 2 hours later. The lawyers come into the office, and they whisper in my ear, you need to be well now, Mr. McAfee. So I got up and said, you know what, I feel much better. I think I can go. And in that time, what they did is filed a brief, meaning you cannot do anything with Mr. McAfee until the court hears this case. Do you understand? Meaning could be 10 years, during which time the Dominican Republic would be hugely embarrassed because they performed an illegal act by boarding our boat before we even came into the country. You're not in the country till you go through immigration and customs. Do you understand?
Oh.
Yeah,
so
just like on a plane, yeah.
Yeah, but so they had the CIA, the bad elements. I have friends within the CIA, believe it or not, but not many. The bad elements within the CIA had orchestrated this, not thinking, number one, I had a British passport, the idiots. And number two, I would have enough common sense to hire a lawyer, a good one, and also to have enough common sense to know what to do to prevent something like this from happening. So anyway, they brought Janice back. She was almost on the plane. They brought Janice back as soon as I fell over and collapsed. She was stayed with me in the hospital. They took us from the hospital to, really, it looked like the diplomat lounge at the Santo Domingo airport. It was great. I mean, people with black tie and, serving us. It was such a change from that hellhole of a jail the night before. You have no idea what a jail is until you've been in one in the Dominican Republic. Huh. So that's that story. And we went to England. I knew England was not safe because having failed to collect me in Cuba, having failed to have me deported from the Dominican Republic, I knew for a fact justice and CIA were pissed the fuck off.
Yeah.
And England is America's best friend. How easy would it be to get me shipped back?
Yeah.
Fortunately, Janice and I arrived on a Saturday, a fucking weekend. Try to get paperwork through any government on a goddamn weekend. And we left the following morning early, which was Sunday. And I can't tell you where we went or how we got there, but we are here. That's the entire story.
So is the boat still in the Dominican Republic then?
I'm afraid it is. We're trying to get that thing out. That's difficult because it's in lawyers' possession now, and they usually want millions of dollars to give you anything. But listen, I'm not a neophyte in this area, and I've been around this block before. We'll be fine. And the dogs, thank God, are fine. I issued very strong warnings. If a hair on my dog was harmed, I swear to God, bad shit would come down. So the dogs have been treated fine.
So the dogs are safe in the Dominican. Any chance we get them back?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, they're going back this week.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
They're going back to America to a very good friend who loves them and knows those dogs very well.
Hopefully
the dogs are fine.
Hopefully the Justice
I'm
Department.
sorry?
Hopefully the Justice Department doesn't arrest him for being an accomplice.
Listen, it ain't happening. Okay.
So
anyway, that's the story. It's as simple as it is.
Did you take something to help you convulse, or was that a complete acting job?
No, it's a complete acting job.
Okay.
Jesus God.
Jeez, good job.
I mean, listen, no, you should have seen it. You should have seen it, man. When I came up, I acted like I'd had a stroke and couldn't remember anybody. I scooted across the floor on my butt backwards until I hit the wall, and I was panicking and telling people to stay away from me. Where was I and what was happening? It was very authentic.
Nice.
I had to because they had a doctor there watching me like a fucking hawk, so I had to perform properly. But it bought me 2 hours.
Yeah.
The lawyer said 2 hours. It bought me 2 hours. Janice was there when they came back. They were very fucking impressed. The lawyer whispered he hadn't had a client like me before.
So they gave you a phone call. You were able to get your own lawyer, or is that something that? Because I know it's like, is it Logan or?
No, actually, these motherfuckers showed up at the first detention we were in. What? No, they didn't come from them, baby. Okay, well, Janice insists they came from people he had connections with, but that lawyer was another lawyer in Santo Domingo. These lawyers were sent by our captain, who somehow met them. Yes, lawyers chasing ambulances. People heard of that I was in detention and just fucking showed up at the boat. And then the captain directed them to where we were detained. And twice they were standing. Twice they were standing outside trying to talk to me, and I didn't know who the fuck they were, and so I refused. But I finally figured, you guys are lawyers. Scumbags that you are welcome here.
It's slowly coming back to me. You guys are my lawyers, and I'm fucking out of here. Well, that's a great story. I'm glad to hear you guys are safe, and now you can keep. It was real touch and go for a while there, and it's super that you've got people in place to keep you protected, and we've got the kill switch on your side. I mean, the problem is I don't want to see anything happen to you, but I do want to see the information come out.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to wait till I'm gone, I'm afraid, because that's my only hope for survival, all right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. If you dump that, then they'll come after you hard.
Yeah, then there's no reason to keep me alive. Listen, if they wanted me dead, I'd have been dead 10 years ago. Please, God. It's easy to whack somebody. Try collecting a slippery motherfucker like me. That's a different goddamn story. Janice can tell you stories for the past 7 years where it would happen multiple times. I'm like a fucking greased pig, and I have the will to continue living. That's a hard motherfucker.
Somebody's got to write a book
I'm sorry?
on that. Somebody's got to write a novel on that, or a movie script or something.
Well, there's a movie script. Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is playing me.
There we go.
King of the Jungle. Look it up.
Nice. When does that come out?
It's in production now. It was Johnny Depp that they'd signed up, but he soured and turned south. He took too many drugs. But now it's Michael Keaton. I'm much happier. Look it up. Just Google King of the Jungle, Michael Keaton, and
Right.
it'll say the life of John McAfee. All
Yeah,
right.
but they're gonna have to.
Johnny
they're gonna
Depp
have to
turned
keep.
into a real fucking mess at
Oh,
the
did
end,
he?
eh? Oh.
What's that?
I said Johnny Depp turned into a real fucking mess at the end there.
Yeah, didn't he? Jesus God.
You
I don't know
know,
what happened.
it seems to be something with that, and maybe you can speak to this, but I mean, you've always been sort of a bad boy, so you haven't had that sort of everybody loves John McAfee sort of vibe, where Johnny Depp, you know, I think you get to
That's
that
right.
certain level where everyone worships you, and you just, you know, what do it's got to be weird.
Yeah, no, I'm used to a world where everybody loathes me.
It's
And,
probably easier to
so-
get along in that world because at least you know where they're coming from.
You know, my skin is like a rhinoceros and a mile thick, so nothing touches me. And when people do go, oh, John McAfee, I was suspicious, going, what the fuck is wrong with you? So
Amazing.
anyway, gentlemen, it's been great being on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. John, come
Good.
back anytime.
yeah. Good luck in your run, and hopefully we'll see that
And
message.
Say goodbye to my lovely wife, Janice, who's been sitting here laughing and smiling this whole time.
All
Good
right,
night,
Janice.
gentlemen.
Bye,
Bye.
Janice. Thank you for
Thanks.
everything. Thank you for continuing to help us connect with John.
Of
That's right. By
course.
the way, there is no other way to connect with me other than through Janice. You know, people get pissed at me because I ignore shit. I mean, they send me a request. You need to talk to Janice McAfee. She's the fucking boss, at least when it comes to the media.
Awesome.
So-
And the bonus is
Anybody out there listening?
if you go through Janice,
Pardon?
we know John will be there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, the bitch will hunt me down if I miss something. So, all right.
Right on. Many thanks
and
to
I
you
say that
too.
in the nicest way. Listen, when I have a relationship, my wife is in fact black, for those of you who do not know. And when I call her my bitch, she has never been offended, I think. Have you?
No.
Okay, never. So it's a cultural thing. Don't think that I'm being rude. But the bitch will hunt me down if I do not show up to one of these things. All
Yes,
right.
the fuck I will.
Excellent. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You
All
too.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that was our second chat with the one and only John McAfee. What'd you think, buddy?
Yeah, that was much more. I think our connection was good. That was way more informative than our first one. It was very good. And I think he was obviously he's at a spot where he's ready to talk about more of the future stuff. We got more into crypto. We got more into his running or not running. You know, that whole thing.
Yeah, the last one was
presidential thing.
he was on a boat. He was,
He was
actively
talking more
being
about personal
pursued.
freedom. I think in
Yeah.
the last one. This one was more geopolitical than the other one. I think.
It was a very
Not
good mix. You know,
geopolitical, political.
they will couple nicely. We didn't go over a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a good
Yeah.
connection. We were able to do this one live. The last one we weren't able to do live.
We had him on video, but then our Mac completely crashed in the studio. We had to reboot it, so we didn't want to try.
Yeah, we had him on
risk it.
video. The problem is I didn't connect him. So I have the two, right? I have our Zoom connection for the podcast MP3 recording, and then I have another Zoom connection to the streaming computer. So when the connection was going good, like 15 minutes in there, when you were like, turn on the video, I would have had to try and connect the stream. I would have had to turn on Zoom on the streaming computer, which Zoom is pretty high on resources,
Right.
especially when you're midstream and you're using 33% of your computer usage already. And it could just like shut the fuck down
Yeah.
again like it had already.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to risk it, but we
No,
can
you don't wanna
we
risk,
can
you know,
confirm we seen
connecting.
John on video. We know it was actually John and not a deep fake.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
So huge
Yeah.
thanks to John for coming on the show. Another fantastic
Yeah, I
chat.
like the message.
Yeah, huge
Yep.
huge thanks to Janice for helping us make it happen. And huge thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks at 11:11 a.m. here on a Monday, Canadian holiday. Even bigger thanks to those of you like King Leonidas, who just sent
Oh,
us $10.
Leonidas was in there?
Yeah, he just sent us
We
super
got to
chat.
have him on the show too.
Jerry sent us a super chat, and then we've got all our patrons and our stripers and our PayPalers. Head on over to Grimerica.ca/support today and become one of those people. Up your karma, level up, become a supporter. Really does make a difference. Join the chats. Grimerica.ca/chats.
Makes a difference too, and a
Oh,
difference.
makes a
And
huge
difference.
difference. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. And we might even dump this one out as a bonus, eh?
I was thinking that too. We should. Yeah, we should. We'll do another bonus. I mean, we got a couple left in the can, and we should just pop this thing out because it's more timely. I mean,
And I could just use the same art.
What? Why would you do that?
Well, I don't know, so I don't have to surprise Nap after I just said
Nap's great.
after I said you got the week off, just to be like, oh, by the way, I need some art tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. Right on. Live guys are still here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for showing up in the middle of the day on last minute notice.
Yep. On an unscheduled show. Good to see you guys. We had up to, I think, 55 or 60 in there at one point.
Oh, that's great.
Got
Wow.
like $25 in super chat.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
I'll pay for the internet today.
That's right. See you on Wednesday.
See ya. Pass.